Shakespeare's writing 16 centuries later captured the legend perfectly when he wrote describing Cleopatra's sails as being so perfumed that the winds were lovesick, meaning you would smell Cleopatra before you ever saw her. The story goes that when she sailed to meet Mark Antony, she had the sails of her ship soaked in perfume, so the scent would reach the shore before her ship even came into view. Shakespeare immortalized it. But is that just a flattering legend, or is there actual archaeology behind what Cleopatra really wore? Because researchers haven't just speculated about this. They found the ancient perfume factory, and they've tried to recreate the scent. Today we're tracing the real, documented history behind Cleopatra's signature fragrance. What they found might surprise you. To understand Cleopatra's perfume, you have to understand Egypt's relationship with scent centuries before she was even born. Ancient Egyptian perfumes were oil-based, not alcohol-based, since alcohol distillation for fragrances didn't exist yet. Scent was burned, rubbed into skin, and used to anoint the bodies of both the living and the dead. One of the most important scents was kifi, a ritual incense burned nightly in temples. Made from resins, dried fruit, wine, and honey, it was believed to please the gods and ease the sun god Re's nightly journey through the underworld. But kifi wasn't only for temples. The wealthy wore it too, which meant fragrance in Egypt was tied directly to religion, status, and power from the very beginning. Egypt didn't just use perfume internally either, it exported it. Egyptian fragrance and incense became a luxury good prized across the entire Mediterranean world, which is the cultural backdrop Cleopatra was born into. A country that had already spent thousands of years treating scent as a serious form of power. When Cleopatra sailed to Tarsus to meet Mark Antony, ancient writers describe her arriving with the purple sails of her golden boat coated in fragrant oil, so potent it carried to shore before she did. The Roman historian Plutarch wrote about it first. Shakespeare was drawing on that account when he immortalized the image 16 centuries later. Accounts also describe her private chamber strewn ankle-deep in rose petals, creating a literal scented trail leading to her bed. This wasn't romantic indulgence for its own sake. Cleopatra was, by every historical account, an extremely deliberate political operator. Scent, alongside her intelligence, her command of multiple languages, and her carefully staged image, was a tool she used to control exactly how powerful men perceived her the moment they encountered her. She was engineering a first impression before anyone even saw her face. Now, here's where this stops being legend and starts being archaeology. In the ancient city of Thmuis, also known as Mendes, in Egypt's Nile Delta, researchers Robert Lippmann and Jay Silverstein from the University of Hawaii excavated the ruins of an actual ancient perfume manufacturing facility. Kilns, vessels, the works. Ancient Egypt and Roman writers, including Pliny the Elder, repeatedly described one specific Egyptian perfume by name, the Mendesian, after the city where it was made. It was so prized and so widely recognized across the ancient world that modern researchers have nicknamed it the Chanel No. 5 of ancient Egypt. A comparison that tells you exactly how dominant and iconic this one scent was. Surviving recipes describe a base of moringa oil infused heavily with myrrh and cinnamon, or cassia, warm, spicy, resinous notes. In 2021, Lippmann and Silverstein published their findings in a paper literally titled Ode to Cleopatra, combining those classical written recipes with paleobotany, the study of ancient plant residue, to recreate the scent. Worth pausing here on how differently perfume worked back then. These were oil-based balms, not alcohol sprays, which meant they sat heavier on skin and lasted dramatically longer. Researchers found the recreated formula stayed potent for nearly 2 years in storage, which is honestly wild compared to how fast modern perfume fades. By most accounts, the recreated scent came out spicy, sweet, and resinous, dominated by that myrrh and cinnamon combination. If that sounds familiar, it's because those notes still anchor an entire fragrance family today. Amber and oriental scents are essentially built on the same warm spice DNA that was already iconic 3,000 years ago. One honest caveat worth including: we don't have Cleopatra's personal labeled bottle. This is the most famous, most widely documented perfume of her exact era and region, which she as queen would almost certainly have had access to. But it's an evidence-based reconstruction, not a literal artifact stamped with her name. Zoom out for a second. Cleopatra's entire beauty routine, the heavily lined eyes, the milk baths, the carefully maintained image, gets told today like it was vanity. But by most historical accounts, it was stagecraft, calculated for political effect, the same way a modern leader thinks carefully about every detail of how they're photographed. Scent specifically let her control a room before she physically entered it. It's an extremely literal, extremely early example of making an entrance. And honestly, it's the same psychological principle behind why a great signature scent still works on people today. So, was the legend real? Mostly yes. The seduction story may have grown in the retelling, but the actual perfume behind it is real, excavated, researched, and reconstructed. Ode to Cleopatra is our best evidence-based answer to a question people have been asking for 2,000 years. What did Cleopatra actually smell like? In part 2, we will find, test, and compare 5 modern amber or oriental fragrances that get as close to this perfume profile as possible. Make sure you subscribe, hit like and the notification bell if you like videos like this, so you are notified when it's posted. As always, I love and appreciate you all, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.